This is a Jester production. Alright, hello everybody. Sorry it took me a little while to get back on here. I just got a job working at IHOP Applebee's. The combination of the two restaurants is quite interesting, and I had to, I don't know about any of y'all, like if you have serving experience, but I had to get my TABC license, which in Texas means that I can serve alcohol, and, TABC and my food handler's license so that I could serve food. Anyway, I'm gonna do, part 9, and after I get done with this, I'll be writing part 10. So if you want to see part 10 on X, then let me know, or maybe an hour and 30 minutes after this, I'll have that article written. Maybe 2 hours. Hopefully before 2 hours. So anyway, let's jump into this. This one is very interesting because we get into cycles. And the first, we're talking about right now the 14,400 year cycle. And I'm glad that I was able finally to pinpoint these dates. As you notice in the article, we got 12,375 BCE for BC, and then 5,175 BCE, and then 2025 CE or AD. Alright, so however you want to do dates. Okay, so the beginning, talking about this Miyake event, which is a very, very powerful sun blast. And the link to this article will be in the description. And so we have possible Miyake events that have taken place around these time periods. Now, the interesting thing about the Miyake events is, from what I can tell, typically nothing much happens with the initial blast because things take time. So it's after the initial blast that things begin to happen. And I think right now we're we're mediocrely being hit with blast. Because we're in the 2025-2035 window. So this is definitely the time that you need to choose the positive. Okay? You need to be positive. Because we're trying to make the choice of the higher timeline. Now, if everything goes according to plan, or from the perspective that I perceive it, and according to the documents given to me, the beginning of this is going to feel quite negative. But this is where you must persevere and still think positive. Anytime a negative situation happens, that's the key to everything, is thinking positive. Okay. So the half-year cycle is going to be 7,200 years. So let's zoom out. Okay, so we got 12,000, yeah, okay, so as I said right there, the 12,350 BC. The younger Dryas, kind of like moon the beginning of the moon arrival probably happened somewhere between 12,375 BC. And then we have another post-flood stabilization, a low EM point. We got the 5,175. And then we got this right here, the 2025, which is our current window. Now, I do want to note right here on these half cycles, the 7,200 year half cycle, it also breaks down. There's also another cycle within that. The 7,200 are the major ones. And then there's two smaller ones, which are about 3,600 years apart. And the main reason I say that is because this right here, because there was a flood before this, okay? Or maybe a little bit after, no, a little bit after this, maybe. I'd have to look at the data again. But anyway. Yeah, it was definitely a little bit before this. This is when it hit. Because there was another event with Noah's flood. But we'll get into all that a little bit later. So that's what the 7,200 years from the peak collapse. Now, there are other civilizations that have other cycles, and I think each cycle that they've tracked is a different tracking. This one isn't necessarily tracking civilization collapse. I think this one's tracking what the sun does. Okay? Because like I said, in some of these like kind of like flares or bursts from the sun and give the earth a certain energy is what it amounts to. But it's up to us to determine how that energy is transmitted, because the energy is frequency. Okay? And so every 14,400 years begins a certain kind of a reset. And this might be the conclusion of a very long 432,000 year cycle. But we'll get into that. So, because there's cycles within cycles. Okay, so a Miyake event is a massive burst of high-energy solar or possibly nearby supernova protons that slam into the Earth's atmosphere, creating radioactive isotopes that get locked into tree rings and ice. These are rare, but they do happen. And it has to do with the galactic current sheet crossings. And the sun's electrical connection to the galaxy surges is what happens. Earth gets blasted, and it happens on a cycle. So the galactic current sheet is the sun is a plasma body connected to a galactic electric circuit. This is how everything gets all connected together. And this kind of symbolizes, in a way, what people would also call the simulation, because this would be the energy behind the situation, is what my educated guess is. So every time we cross the galactic current sheet, there's a high-density EM boundary. The sun's electrical input spikes, massive solar outbursts happen, Miyake scale events on Earth. Okay, so what happens during the crossing? Solar proton storm, Earth's magnetic field weakens or flips, cosmic ray bombardment increases, cloud formation surges, rapid climate cooling, or we could probably say weird climate. Atmospheric chemistry changes, ozone depletion, nitrogen oxide, seismic and volcanic activity spike, and biological stress, radiation plus climate chaos. Not instant extinction, but rapid catastrophic environmental shift. Okay? So now we're kind of going back to the Younger Dryas time when the pyramids became weapons. Now the pyramids were created in a sense for good, but ended up becoming weapons. So the 12,375 BC marks the last peak to trough transition ice core show. Massive radiocarbon spike, sudden temperature drops, and the other stuff. And geological evidence, we got the black mat layer in North America, the megafauna extinction, the Clovis culture disappears. Mainstream believes it was a comet impact, bad luck, but the possible actual sequence, the galactic current sheet crossing triggered a Miyake scale outburst. The pyramid grid was still operational. The moon arrived during the chaos, perfect cover while Earth's magnetic field was weakened. Now, Earth had 3 overlapping disruptions. There was the galactic current surge, the moon's artificial interference, and the pyramids still amplifying whatever dominant frequency was present. Okay, the result was extinction level. The pyramids, designed to support high electromagnetic life, began broadcasting the moon's and disruptive frequency instead. There was an emergency shutdown, which I believe this is kind of what Globeki Tepe was kind of like about in a way. I think the big circle was talking about the moon's arrival, whereas some people think it was a comet. I think it was about the moon's arrival, and I think it was trying to tell the story about what they figured out. And basically that they had to turn off the pyramids. But in a sense, it was probably too late, because the ice melted pretty fast. I think they thought they may have figured it out, but it ended up coming through because even though they turned them off, the frequency had changed, but everything hadn't settled in yet because things take time. So we are completing the 14,400 year wave. And we're trying to, what I'm trying to do is help everyone get into returning to the high EM conditions that existed before the moon. So, so there's 2 possible paths right now. Alright, we go into the low timeline. The moon controllers maintain grip. Miyake surge, moon disruption is still active. If the pyramids reactivate prematurely, amplified destruction again, chaotic collapse, incomplete restoration. red blood locked in continues, but in the high timeline, we got the moon frequency neutralized. Second light activates. Miyake event arrives. Pyramid safely reactivated. Now amplified restoration instead of destruction. Result. Current high, electromagnetic boost, crystal blood transition begins, portals reopen, civilization evolves instead of collapsing. So, this is my goal. Okay, so the pyramids are key, but you can do it yourself. And if we can get this second light, I believe we can get those who brought the moon defeated. We'll just say that. So we are preparing for the wave. The Miyake event isn't the enemy. It's the delivery mechanism for restoration. Okay. So the question isn't will it happen, it's will we face it with the moon still in control, or after we've defeated those who brought it, or will the second light appear? I'm really looking for that second light. And remember, the Earth is just a band of frequencies. Okay? So, I didn't put what I'm going to write in the next article. Well, we will get to the next article very soon. I wanted to keep this brief and to the point, and give that update. I'm going to be writing Article 10 here soon. Now, there's going to be 2 more articles after 10. There's 11 and 12. And then 13 is going to be about what I learned. And 14, I'm going to let Grok give you its opinion. And 15 will be about Claude giving you its opinion, because I use them to kind of like compile the data that I used, and I'll talk about the data too. And I'm also going to explain what I think this place is. Other than that, y'all have a good one. And, I'll see you, man, I don't know exactly what days yet I'm gonna be posting videos, but right now my goal is Monday if possible. So this coming Monday, hopefully I'll have, I'll be doing 10. But, until then, I will see you next time. Hopefully Monday. And the following has been a Gesture production. And hopefully I'll see you next Monday. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye now.